We got some more libidibs, y'all. More libidibs right now. Legacy media propagandist Joe Scarborough struggles badly in his attempt to justify Biden's and Obama's deportations actions while condemning Trump. You know, it's cool if they do it, but the problem if Trump do it. You got Jasmine Crockett out here crocketing. You know what I mean? We got all that coming up. And on top of that, you know, it's refreshing to see, you know, facts being brought to CNN. We're going to definitely dive into all those topics. But first, the first thing I mentioned, man, you know, we got to, you know, we got to suffer. You know, if I had to suffer and watch it, y'all got to suffer and watch it too. We got even Al Sharpton on this thing.
Rev, that in the Biden administration, when you had 5 million people coming across the border illegally over, you know, a couple of years, much easier to have those deportation numbers up because so many illegal immigrants were coming in. Now the border's quiet.
Right.
And so, again, as we predicted beforehand, it is extraordinarily expensive to deport people. This wasn't going to be as easy as it would have been during the Biden administration because, again, 5 million were let in illegally. Mm-hmm. They're at the border. And that's what Barack Obama did with his deportations. A lot of these non-judicial deportations were already close to the border. So it was much easier to deport without going through the judicial process that we're talking about.
It is not only more expensive, it then borders on a lot of questions of civil liberties for people that are legally here. Because now you're going into the mainland of the United States and you're grabbing people with no due process who maybe should be here legally and who are, in the cases of a Garcia, the wrong people. So when it was done at the border with Obama and Biden, you had less risk of that.
These people, I know they're not talking about the deporter in chief. Not Mr. Barry. You know? What? You know what I mean? Look, when Trump and them, you know, when Biden and them was doing it, they weren't at risk of taking away your civil liberties and your civil rights and, you know what I mean, deporting the wrong people and, you know, completely, they're going to go against the Constitution, basically. They're writing their own laws. This is the oligarchy, you know? He didn't say all that, but that's basically what was spewing from all this. What? Al Sharpton agrees, as Western Lensman adds, because ICE now has to what is this? Has entered the mainland of the U.S. to find the illegals. Just wow. Deportations are bad under Trump because millions of illegals are already dispersed into the country, and now it's too expensive. Now, I remember us covering the day how it costs around, what, 17 grand? But Trump just announced that he was offering a self-deportation, and he'll give you a stipend. You know, we learned what that was yesterday. You know, your boy over here get educated. You know what I mean? Anyhow, let's go ahead and move on with this. Well, before I do, let's read a few comments. J. Cash added, I was literally just researching this issue with Crockett. It appears Clinton and Bush and Obama were allowed to deport tons of illegals with no Fifth Amendment issues because they largely followed the rules that their Congress had introduced, like expedited removals near the border are fine. But once they missed that opportunity, the illegals suddenly get protection. Congress has created these laws to help the Uniparty. Winston responded with, they are now engaged in trying to spin how it's different under Trump. Oh my God, we got some.
Would you advise any undocumented individual who comes to you that maybe they should take the money and go back to their home country? What's your take on it all?
I wouldn't trust this administration for anything. First of all, they are terrible about paying their bills, number one. Number two, most of those people that have come over, regardless of what this administration said, they came over because they were fleeing things such as the fact that they don't have the opportunity to work and earn a living, or they're fleeing political violence. And so what is $1,000 if you're going back to a place where you may lose your life? They risk their lives, many of them coming over here in the first place. That's number one. Number two, I want to see some numbers. Where in the heck did you just pull this number out of your back pocket saying that they're costing us approximately $100 million? I'm sorry, not $100 million, $1 million for each undocumented person. The only numbers that we have show that we receive approximately $100 billion in tax revenue from undocumented people, so much so that they decided that they want to go to the IRS and get the IRS to help them as they go and seek these people. You know why? Because they've been working and they've been doing the jobs that now they want to roll back child labor protections and make sure that poor children are the ones that are doing those jobs, because now we're going to have those vacancies, if we're going to have jobs left at all, as we continue to endure the grind of this failed experiment around this tariff war.
As the Cartier family adds, she claims that Trump is trying to roll back child labor laws to force poor children to fill vacant jobs. What is up with her and this slavery complex and Trump putting us back in the fields and all this other stuff, and Trump is afraid of black women and black people and all this other stuff? What? First of all, they came here legally. I understand we are human enough to empathize with the idea of someone fleeing oppression or somebody fleeing some sort of volatile situation. You know what I mean? I can empathize with that. However, I also have to realize in reality that there's a process that you do it. You know, we living in 2025. Now, are there problems with the process? Sure. You know, we're not going to sit here and say that it's just smooth rolling for anybody, nor should it just be completely smooth. But hey, there's some things that can be readjusted. However, to suggest that Donald Trump is doing this is nothing but fear mongering from the Democrats. And this is the only tactic that they have right now. The only tactic that they have. What? T-Doc added, that's because it was their choice in their country. And as far as political problems in South America, very few and far between, because they allow it to happen. Politics down at South, they allow it to happen. Politics down at South America practically the same as here in this country. They wrote it just how I read it. You see how I was confused. I may have missed it, but I think only Florida was going to make it legal for teenagers to work during school hours. I didn't hear anything about the Trump administration approving it. It's the first time hearing about that, but anywho, cool take. Now, this right here is refreshing from Thomas Hearn. He posted this clip from CNN. He says that it's, how you say that name? Batya Sargon, bringing the real facts to CNN. This is something that nobody's, talking about. Obviously, the Jasmine Crocketts of the world don't want to bring this up.
I have to just bring up something about Trump in prisons that no one ever talks about. He never gets credit for, which is the First Step Act. He released 5,000 black men from prison, and he never gets any credit for this. He was one of the first president in decades to actually shrink the population in our prisons. I just dispute this idea that he's some sort of that the nationalism is somehow dangerous to Americans. We need a dose of that. We need a dose of thinking about which Americans should we be helping? Which Americans should we be focused on? Which vulnerable Americans deserve our attention? And I think that this presidency is really
talking about black men.
Oh man, we talking about black men. Do you see that? They always talk about Donald Trump hasn't done this for black America or that for black America or this and that, and he's so against black Americans. And I got him over here looking for the full clip real quick. You know what I'm saying? And that's totally not the case. And one of the things that you would notice from legacy media is the fact that they willfully look over facts like this. Now, to my knowledge, it was actually more. For the First Step Act actually freed nearly 90,000 individuals. I could be wrong. I'm gonna definitely go fact check that. But yeah, I'm over here looking the full clip up, y'all. But yeah. She brought the facts to it, and Abby couldn't even dispute that. I want to see the other guy's response to that. Somebody said Barack Obama oversaw the largest absolute decline in federal prison population of any U.S. president. It decreased. Somebody said, then we watched as the cities burn. Yet some of those people will claim that, I don't even know what that is, has a future with that part. I don't even know. This comment section ain't passing the vibe check right now. I don't know what's going on. Here we got Stephen A. Smith says he's happy with Trump and that he won because Dems have manipulated black Americans with guilt and fear-mongering, as we just displayed.
When I'm abhorring or lamenting the state of affairs within the Democratic Party, I'm basically talking about what they were focusing on. They may be doing things on the state and local level and may deserve an abundance of credit for it, but that's not the message that we were receiving. And you know why we weren't receiving that message? Because they didn't think they could sell it to us. They didn't think that that would be good enough. They wanted to make sure, oh, we're going to point to racism. We're going to guilt you into voting for us. We're not going to talk about the things that we're doing positively. We're going to talk about what the other side is doing negatively to engage in fear-mongering to help you, through fear factor, go our way instead of theirs. And it didn't work this time. And to be quite honest with you, even though I might not like some of the things I'm seeing from the Trump administration thus far, the bottom line is I'm glad it didn't work, because I think for the longest time, black Americans have played the role of suckers to the Democratic Party. They've guilted us into voting for them, making us feel as if we're going to be ostracized, creating division within our own communities or what have you to get our vote, instead of saying to us, hey, this is what we will do for you, and it will work better than what they're offering.
Instead, the only tactic was to go, look at them doing everything, not doing everything that we're doing, but we're going to accuse them of doing it. That's basically what the party was. And that's honestly how a lot of us got pushed out of it. I mean, it was just like, yo, talk to us like we're human. We're human beings. Just use, what are your plans? Forget him. Okay, cool. You hate him. We get it. But what are your plans? Instead, it was, he's going to take away your civil rights. He's going to take away women's rights. He's going to take away Medicare. He's going to Project 2025 and all this other stuff. And still, they're spewing this type of rhetoric out here with no type of consequence, man, after all of it has been debunked. It's just really shallow. I think I found an extended clip of that. Batya Ugar-Sargon on CNN. She was talking about Donald Trump and excuse me, the First Step Back. Let's go ahead and pull it up on the screen real quick for y'all.
Pulling another, dictator for a day hoax right now, because it's clear when Trump said, I don't know, what he meant was what he finished his sentence saying, which is, I don't know where the Supreme Court is going to come down on whether deporting these illegal migrants is constitutional or not. It's very obvious, yet every single headline...
You just called it a hoax, so let's just play.
Okay, this is obviously not an extended clip of that. This is the media is engaged in another dictator for a day hoax, this time on whether President Trump will obey the Constitution. So it's a failed attempt, but it's still a good clip, and it's also from that same conversation.
Can we play it again?
Need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
What's wrong with that?
So the Supreme Court is going to decide what is constitutional and what is not, and Trump just committed 100% to following what the Supreme Court said.
There's another clip.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says...
I don't know. It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials.
So can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So what does it mean for an illegal immigrant to have due process? We would all agree that they do not have the same level of due process that we do. For example, we are entitled to a jury trial, and they are entitled to a hearing before an immigration judge. Do you know who the immigration judges work for? They work for the executive branch. They work for
what?
Which means that they work for Donald Trump.
You're actually making a great
of the due process that they get.
But Donald Trump doesn't even want to give him even that due process.
I
think that's part of the problem.
He's not sure the level to which they are entitled.
She didn't ask about what
process,
level of due process.
That's a very basic
No, I mean...
You see how they try to sit there and pick away? Like, Donald Trump can sit there and say, hey, I don't know, but I have the right people in place. We're going to go through Congress and the right legal process of it all and get everything taken care of. And they're like, oh, well, he's saying he don't know and he's still going to do it. And I'm like, you guys, there's an expedited process in the in the law as well. They also have it right after you talk about the exceptions in terms of hearings and things of that nature. We discussed it on the channel. Stephen A. Smith again here. And he's explaining that all Dems and liberals must make deals with Trump and show him basic respect. Well, I don't see that happening.
Whether you're an elected politician or you're somebody that's going to have to do business with him, you're going to have to recognize you're going to have to appease him to some degree. You're going to have to do that. I've been critical of him for years. But he was nice on News Nation. You know why? I said, good evening, Mr. President. Good to talk to you. Something as simple as that. Remember when he was at the NABJ, National Association for Black Journalists over the summer? And Rachel Scott did a phenomenal job interviewing her. She asked the right questions. She asked the questions that people wanted to know. But what did Trump say? That's just a nasty, nasty question. You didn't even say, hello, how are you?
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
See what I'm saying? You don't even say, hello, how are you? It matters to him. And that's not to say that there's a reason or justification for doing any of the things that he may have done or will continue to do. It's just knowing the hand that you're dealt and knowing who you're dealing with. And that's what you're going to have to learn about him, if you don't already know. If you want to do business with him.
So you're basically saying you got to suck up to Donald Trump? You got that from that in there? Come on. Stephen A. Smith, you way smarter than this, bro. Am I gathering from this that you watched that clip and went, you have to make sure you appease him. You got to make sure you acknowledge him to some degree. Basically, this is what my understanding of it. You got to acknowledge him to some degree, you know, get on his good side. Is that what you're saying? The woman basically called him racist, said that he's, you know, and implied that because she's like, you calling black people, black journalists this, black journalists that, you having dinners with white supremacists.
You're going to have to make sure that you're ready to engage in some level of capitulation, even if it's something as simple as being well-mannered. If you are an elected official and you have to work on behalf of your constituency and you're going to have to cross that aisle, it can't be imitating Mitch McConnell when Barack Obama was in office and he said, our goal here is to make him a one-term president. That's not going to fly with this guy. He's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's got the White House. He's got the Supreme Court. 6-3 majority. You're going to have to figure out a way to do something to get a semblance of what you want. That is the way that it goes, whether you like it or not.
I mean, you know, I still don't like the idea. I mean, maybe you're not totally wrong. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm not going to rule that out. I just don't like the idea that everything has to be centered around Trump has to get his way in order for you to interact with him, kind of. That could be going over my head, though, because as he continued, it was more like, Is he more so now saying that people need to be prepared to not be able to just get away with saying any and everything to him? That he's somebody that's going to speak his mind? That could be another take. Anywho, y'all be safe. Please go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life.